Right into it. HPV, back to school vibes. HPV, oh my God. Warts, STIs. Run.
Controversial subjects with the facts can be tense, but we are a science here to make things make sense.
HPV, human papilloma. Like, am I doing the Spanish version? Human papilloma virus. It's something we need to be talking about.
Yeah, and in the context of STIs as well, because I want to touch on some of that. But I think recently we had just been talking about HPV. It's obviously chatted about in the queer community, which we'll get to as well.
So I was absolutely shocked because, and I won't say names, but I want to tear down every family doctor that I've had because I did not get my HPV vaccine until 3 months ago at the ripe age of 36. Mm-hmm. And that is really scary. We're going to talk about why I should have had it earlier and so should everyone, but no one told me to. And now, Mitchell, do you have your HPV vaccine?
No, but okay, Mr. 3 months ago being so
well,
high
I'm like, after doing this research, I'm running, I'm sweating, I'm going, Mitch, and he's going, oh, I'm RFK. I'm actually not really that interested in this vaccine.
I will go get it. Also doing this research has been very informative. I think when you got it, I had gone through some bouts of like sickness and other stuff that it didn't make sense for me to go get a vaccine at the time. And then we were on summer and blah, blah, blah.
It might even be too, like, good God. But we in university, I remember learning this information in cell biology. And I'm so pissed it didn't light bulb at that moment, which is the time you want to be getting this vaccine between the ages of like 11 to 17.
Well, let's talk. Okay, before we talk about the vaccine, let's actually talk about what it is. This is like backwards.
I'm just trying to explain one thing, which frustrates me, which is that we knew this information like it was cutting edge information when we were in university, and I'm just mad at ourselves and my family practitioner for not taking that research and applying it in real life and getting the vaccine. And now we'll explain why. Okay, so HPV. It's a double-stranded DNA virus that can cause genital warts. That's why it's related to STIs, but also other skin lesions. And what's important to know is there's so many different subtypes of this virus that cause many different infections, some of which there are no symptoms.
And some of which lead to much worse problems like cancers.
Yeah. And that's the big thing we're going to talk about today.
So just to clarify, there's lots of different types of HPV. If you catch one, doesn't necessarily mean like you will, like if you get genital herpes, that's different than the other HPV viruses. They're not
genital warts.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You said herpes.
Oh, isn't it?
It's genital warts. Herpes is something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's from a herpes virus. Okay, we're looking this up. Anyways, yes, you can be infected with HPV, different subtypes. Some can lead to warts, some can lead to no symptoms, but many of them they're realizing now are leading to a lot of different versions of cancers, which is something we want to talk about as we in the science community are learning that more and more people are getting cancer at younger and younger ages. And a lot of it might have to do with this HPV, this specific virus that is sexually transmitted, etc. Did you look up herpes?
Well, okay, let me just read what it says about herpes in context to HSV. So herpes is a virus,
it's HSV,
causing painful blisters that reoccur while HPV causes wart-like growths. Yeah, okay, fine.
So it's not herpes. Okay, so some might say I was right. Thank you. Oh, sorry, you want to say that?
This is what, you know when you write a note and I just obviously was writing quickly and in brackets wrote genital herpes. I probably meant to write genital warts and now I'm just throwing off my own notes. Okay, and I'm stupid, okay?
No, you're not. So, okay. HPV. There are many cancers that can be caused by this, but I think what freaks me out the most is throat and anus cancer, and if you are someone with a vagina, cervix cancer. So I think what is so fascinating and a lot of people don't realize is that essentially, we're going to get graphic here, but oral sex on someone with HPV can give you HPV in your throat, which gives you throat cancer.
It can give you throat cancer.
It can,
especially over time.
Rates.
If you're infected and your body doesn't clear your body's then potentially mutating in a way that can cause cancer there and in other parts of your body as well, whether that's anal, throat, cervix, you name it. If you get the HPV virus there, And what is interesting is it's asymptomatic for a lot of people. Obviously, if you have genital warts, that's something you'll notice, you'll get tested for, you'll get drugs for. But I think it's around over 500 million people have HPV.
Yes.
Of which many don't have any clue because
have no idea, yeah.
Like for men, for example, it's often asymptomatic. And like we said, there's so many different types that not all of them lead to visible symptoms.
And that's why women, it's important to get like pap smears because you can like learn about if you have it or not. That's like a big part of the research here is that if you have a vagina, to go get a pap smear. But yeah, one study in the CDC found that HPV for adults aged 18 to 59 is approximately 45.2% in men and 39.9% in women.
Can you say those numbers again?
45.2% of men have it.
Like just in general.
From this one study of people aged 18 to 59 and 40% in women. And also, I thought this was funny. Michael Douglas, who got throat cancer, remember, like he was married to like Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I think I know who Michael Douglas
Yeah,
is. But
he's
okay.
For all you Gen Z, maybe even millennials, he's an older actor. He got throat cancer, and when they asked him about it, they were like, "Did you smoke all this stuff?" He said, "No, I got it from eating out women."
Really?
Yeah.
Like, how would he have known?
Because the doctor traced it to the HPV in his throat.
Oh wow!
I just thought it was interesting because
Like he survived it. Like they.
Well, he like has cancer, like he was treated for it. But I remember hearing that quote, like
when you were,
like seeing it on like a news app and being like fake news, or just being like that's an insane thing for him to say.
Actually, yeah.
But he was trying
thought he was, like,
to make a
bragging
point,
about
or
his-
like it's just like, okay, that guy's lost his marbles. So
I would say, can I talk about HPV in the queer community? Numbers
Yeah,
related to
sure.
that, because specifically, like men who have sex with men have way higher rates of HPV. So that number was what 54% there.
Yeah.
And that was for men.
Yeah.
So here, anal HPV in gay men is 78.4%.
This is why
Penile
I'm
is
pissed.
36.2, oral is 17.3, and urethral is 15.4.
So apparently, because I go to doctor and I say to doctor, me gay, like that, I've talked to a lot of my gay friends who are like, yeah, I got my HPV vaccine when I was 22. Yeah, I got my HPV vaccine when I was 19 because my doctor should have known that I was high risk as a gay man.
Yeah.
The only thing I was thinking was that like I did mention that I don't have unprotected sex.
Yeah.
So that is a big like barrier literally through a condom.
Yeah.
But
like
I
in
still
your
would
throat,
rather,
like
I'm
in
like,
your mouth.
and I'm also like, I'm a science person. I want to I'm just so mad. I'm just sad that I didn't get it until now. And I also am, now that I'm bringing up with more and more gay men, women, everyone's telling me, oh yeah, I got my HPV vaccine when I was 23. And I'm thinking like,
well,
what is wrong with me?
It is actually never too late. Obviously, it depends on your circumstance and finances for people who are like, maybe you're older and you probably think you would have been exposed to it already. It depends on like your sexual activity, like you said, how much protection you use, how safe you are, those kind of things. But yeah, if you're young and listening to this, and whether you're queer or not, but certainly if you're a queer person, because those stats I gave were men having sex with men, but it's also much higher in trans people. It's just in the queer community a lot more. It's worth just getting to protect yourself.
So,
and even I think it's worth talking to your doctor, even if you are like older like us, to talk about whether it's worth you getting it. The only thing is, like, even in Canada, it's not covered. You have to pay for the vaccine.
I paid for it.
So
But I
that
was
is
like,
a barrier
worth
to a lot
it.
of people. And that's
Yeah.
probably why a lot of doctors don't suggest it if they're like, this is an out-of-pocket cost. That'll be challenging for a lot of people.
So HPV is responsible for 100% of cervical cancers, 90% of anal cancers, 60 to 73% of throat cancers, 40 to 50% of penile cancers, and 40% of vaginal and vulva cancers.
Wow.
Like that's
Those are
insane.
huge percentages.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just like this information is so important. So there's so many different types of HPV. Like there's all these subtypes, but it's the subtypes 16 and 18 that are high risk and responsible for like the specific cervical lesions or like epithelial lesions that then lead to cancers in most cases. So like when you get a pap smear, you could find out if you have HPV 16 or 18. Those are the highest risks. But also as person with penis, we can't really get screened to know which one. So now it's just like, okay, I just live my life like not knowing.
Yeah, honestly, you just have to live your life not knowing.
That's
why you're
intense.
better off to just get
The vaccine.
if you
As
want
young as you
to.
can. Yeah.
Because if you can't test, or the testing is prohibitive or not available and you can afford the vaccine, you should just get it.
There's also like the idea
so
of warts. People were asked like questions about like how susceptible they are to warts and like how the warts actually feel. Because again, you could get genital warts in your ass, in your vagina, and then you'll know you have HPV. But if you don't have any symptoms, or you get an HPV without any symptoms or genital warts or lesions showing, you won't know. But then I was like, in the surveys, they were talking all about warts. And one of the questions was like, are you careful and wear shower shoes when showering at the gym? And I was like, okay, that's obviously not talking about genital warts. That's like foot warts.
Yeah.
But then I realized like,
how easy
I
it is to
don't
transmit,
do that. Like so many men put on flip-flops,
yeah.
and I was like, okay, I want to start doing that. But then I'm like, what do you do with them in your bag?
You need to bring like a plastic bag or something so that they're not soaked and gross.
So you bring, okay, I mean, I know this is an insane podcast thing, but I was like, I want to discuss this because I am disgusting. I'm like arguably unhygienic. And so I would never consider my feet while at the gym. But now since doing this research, I'm like, ew, like, and
Here's what
how
I'll
do
say.
you do it?
How do you do, like, wear flip-flops?
How do you bring your warty flip-flops into your bag without making everything worse? That's what I was thinking.
What do you mean your warty flip-flops?
Well, if like my flip-flops are what's smacking around on the warty floor, and then now I'm picking them up.
Bottom of them is.
I know, but then where do they go? In my backpack? That to me is so gross.
That you have to be aware enough because it's nasty to leave something wet in your backpack.
Yeah,
and
especially wart sandals.
No, they're not covered in warts.
Okay.
Gray. Like, here's the thing. When I used to go to the YMCA, I used to bring flip-flops because it was like open showers, and I remember I got a wart on my foot, whether it was from there or not. But I started being like, I need to be smart about this. However, this new gym, that because it's a little fancier, and I do notice they are cleaning it, but that doesn't like really often, but doesn't mean I couldn't catch it. But I also now when I shower there, wash my feet and then dry them after. I don't know if that will help, but in my mind, I also
So
hate
you're
the
not
idea
doing sandals.
I haven't been, but maybe I should be.
Yeah, that's what I think.
It's just because I don't know in my mind I just haven't, but you're right. If they're made of plastic, you can probably just dry them with a towel pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because I'd be less worried, like HPV is probably less likely to stick onto a sandal and then somehow transmit through your other stuff in your bag, right? Like if you're stepping on the ground, it's made of plastic, you're drying it off. It's different when it's like your fleshy foot, especially the risk is, do you have a little cut on your foot? Is there access for the HPV to like break in or anything, any kind of bacteria or virus that's sitting around? So assuming that I just think it is smart to wear flip-flops. I'm sure the chances are relatively low, but if someone has warts and is going into the shower barefoot, they're risking sharing that with you.
Yeah. So
and I shouldn't say HPV. I meant like just warts on your feet.
Sound off in the comments if you wear sandals in your gym shower, because I am extremely curious. And now I've been starting to look a lot more, and I'd say way more people than I realize are wearing sandals. Yeah. And maybe looking at me like I'm disgusting.
But lots of people don't,
fire.
but I agree. Like a lot definitely do.
And I should probably stop licking the shower ground, which I've also been known to do. Well, I mean, it is an interesting thing to like group shower. Like I guess that all this research made me really think about warts, and I just hadn't really thought that much about them. Also, I've been going to this gym for like 2.5 years and I haven't got a wart.
Yeah.
And I shower.
That's what I mean. I think the
every
chances
day.
are relatively low. I think they're relatively good at cleaning out those stalls pretty often, even if it's like, some people argue about the cleanliness of the gym compared to like, I remember being at a different gym and feeling like it was more gross.
Also, yeah, it's an Equinox, and truly there's flies that fly out of the grate. And like, it is just like, I'm like, this is crazy. And like, if you want to be charging this much, at least figure out your fly problem.
Yeah.
And then like flies coming out of the grate while you're showering isn't helping me think, oh, there's no warts in this place.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to HPV and STIs generally. I want to give some interesting STI stats because then for me, I want to lead into like talking a little bit about the queer community and the pressure to have unprotected sex and stuff.
Yes, which we talk about a lot on this podcast.
Yeah, but okay. More than 1 million curable STIs are acquired every single day in people aged 15 to 49.
Wait,
isn't that wild?
Whoa.
That's so it's a lot.
People are fucking.
Yeah, and it's passing around like there's so
1 million STIs
every day. Curable
Whoa,
STIs every single day.
That's
are
fun
acquired.
to think about for some reason.
In 2020, the numbers were 129 million cases of chlamydia.
Wow.
82 million cases of gonorrhea.
Wow.
7 million cases of syphilis. And then I actually never heard of trichomoniasis.
What?
Trichomoniasis.
That's not real. That's a
156
dinosaur.
156 million cases of that.
What the fuck
so
is that?
I think it's
What the
like
fuck is that?
It's like a parasite. I'm pretty sure. And
What?
it's largely asymptomatic. So I think that's why it's not nearly as common to know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what does it do?
I
It just
think
is
like
a
a lot
parasite
of
that
people
just
are
lives in
infected
you?
in the same way that like HPV, a lot of people go asymptomatic, don't know they have it, just carry it. Maybe the body, because even HPV, like maybe your body can clear it after like a year or two. Like you never really know.
Trichomoniasis.
Trichomoniasis, yeah.
There's just a little parasite that's thriving off of all
It
this.
says
sex.
men who have sex with men accounted for 57.5 primary and secondary syphilis cases among men.
syphilis. So okay, this is because of PrEP, correct?
Not exclusively. I
But
think, you know,
anecdotally, we talk about how
PrEP definitely. So if you don't know what PrEP is, it's like a preventative HIV medication that you can take so that if you are exposed to HIV with unprotected sex, or in any case, you already have something in your body to help sort of like prevent the contraction of it.
And then therefore gay men are now having unprotected sex again.
Yes, which in many ways, obviously, it's an incredible drug. HIV was a huge scare, obviously, through the 80s, and to have something to allow queer people to have way safer sex, however they choose to have it, with or without a condom, is amazing.
Yeah.
But as a result, obviously, it leaves open the door for many other STIs. If you're suddenly only worried about HIV and not having sex with condoms, or not having other protected measures or taking precautions, then you're exposing yourself to STIs.
Including HPV.
Including
which can
HPV,
lead
yeah.
to anal cancers and throat
Yeah.
cancers.
So I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation because, you know, lots of straight people as well prefer to have sex without condoms, right? And that may be because it actually feels different for them. That may be that condoms are like, if you don't have it, it's like annoying. You don't want to have to like postpone sex.
I
There's
think
lots of different
condoms are
reasons.
sexy.
Sure, but lots of people don't,
Screaming.
and I don't want to like. Obviously, condoms are protective. This is one of those science things that we're like, if you want safe sex, condoms are extremely useful. But I also don't want to like sex shame, and it's just that balance of being like, just saying to someone have protected sex obviously doesn't work, especially we know in the gay community. So there are other ways to talk about how can you be protected, how can you protect yourself. Something to think about too is like, just because you're not afraid of the risk, like you may have easy access to be able to test and get drugs immediately if you have an STI, but lots of people don't. Lots of people don't. Like, by not using condoms, you keep sort of like the baseline in our community higher of STIs. And that's not like your sole responsibility. You are allowed to have sex without condoms and be responsible in your own ways. Maybe that includes taking PrEP or PEP or doxy-PEP, those kind of things that can help minimize the risk of spreading STIs more generally. Because if you're not having protected sex, you are potentially just a vector to someone else.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can take care of yourself and you have the money or the access. Like we live in Toronto, we have like amazing clinics for queer people to go and be able to test every 3 months, get drugs immediately if you have it, but not everyone does.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. Like a large city where I just bike and get tested.
Yeah, and I was reading about how a lot of sex clinics around the world don't necessarily have all the different kinds of testing.
Yeah, I've
So-
noticed. Yeah, our friend from Brazil was like, we don't get tested for chlamydia there,
And like
which seems so odd.
and he was saying like they had to literally swab up his urethra for one of his tests that he had to pay for. But if you're not getting a urine sample or rectal swab, a throat swab, and blood tests, you're not being tested for everything.
Yeah.
And that may cost a lot for some people to do. It's free for us to just go if we wanted to and get all of those tests.
Last time my urine sample, they're like, "Oh, sorry, it didn't count," because I just like pissed all over it and like spilt it. And I was just like, "What is wrong with me?" I was like, they were just like, "We can't test this. You've just like pissed in a plastic bag and didn't go anywhere where you should have." Also, another thing you can do is get your HPV vaccine because so I was just reading about it, and like the vaccine covers the subtypes HPV subtypes 6, 11, 16, 18, 31, 33, 45, 52, and 58. Like they know the effectiveness of this so well. It's the 11 and 18 that are the dangerous ones that cause the cancers. And it's been shown that the HPV vaccine significantly prevents anal cancer, genital warts, cervical cancer, vulval cancers, and anal cancers. And it's most effective when administered during the ages of 9 to 12.
Right.
So it's like, this is something for if you're a parent listening, you're a young person listening, like an HPV, like if I had a kid right now,
it wasn't just part of the regimen for us. Maybe
because
it was,
we were just on the cusp of it. This information was coming out.
now it
I'm
is.
telling you, when we were in cell biology.
So young kids now have it as part of the
Yes,
regimen.
now they're just getting it, and that's what I'm so like. You and I and
should have
millennials
been really encouraged later,
Yes.
like in our 20s,
Well,
by our doctors.
I'm so mad because I knew this information in cell biology, and I remember reading it. I remember writing about it in exams, finding it so fascinating, but never. I mean, at the time we were just like monogamous, and I just probably was like, oh, it doesn't apply to me. But I just am frustrated I didn't continue that thought, and I'm really frustrated with my doctor, especially because I remember my doctor being like, oh, I'm actually close to the gay neighborhood, and I'm some people say an expert with the gay men. Like he always would like brag. He'd be like, oh, so you're gay, eh? Having anal sex? I was always like, yeah. And then it's like, well, at least give me the care.
Yeah, that should have been brought
if you're
up.
so good at gay guy doctor. Anyways, I've like, you know someone ages 9 to 12, get them an HPV vaccine. It's so effective, and it will just create like they could end up being a gay man and therefore on PrEP. And therefore they don't have to worry about these STIs being spread within them. Oh, it's so crazy. It's so crazy to learn about a vaccine that you don't have.
And
It's like, okay, gulp.
And then find out, when we're X years old, 70, 80, 90, being like, okay, it wasn't me that whole time.
Yes. I don't know for sure. And for them to be like, oh, by the way, you can't really get tested if you're a man. It's like, okay, well, now I'm just like mentally spiraling is all I can do. Crazy.
One other thing I want to address with the kind of like, again, I want to always be sensitive about like people are allowed to have sex that they want to have. Of course, when you have sex, you're impacting other people. I was kind of wondering myself, like, the argument might be, well, if I can get tested regularly and get antibiotics and all those things regularly, what's the problem with that? I would only just argue, obviously, being on antibiotics on a regular basis is not only not great for you, but also can contribute to antibiotic resistance over time.
Yeah.
Again, not trying to throw that responsibility onto an individual. That's a much bigger societal problem. But you might also miss in those 3-month windows or a poorly done test. Like you can put your body at risk with STIs. Yes, if you catch them early, you can get rid of them and have no long-term effects from them. But it's just worth knowing, like there's still a risk every time you contract an STI. So including HPV.
So now we're going to get into the part of the ASAP Science podcast that becomes very niche gay. So everyone listening, especially the straights, which we know there are many of you, we're going to get niche.
Wait, why?
So I was reading this article that's like gone controversial comment in like gay niche world. Like everything is siloed due to the internet.
Okay, like you're seeing everyone talk about this article.
Yes, and it's by this guy named Stephen Phillips Worst. I'm sorry if I fucked up your last name, but he runs Celebrity Book Club. Oh, okay. Which is one of my like favorite podcasts. We've talked about it on this podcast before. Actually, it's recently been like canceled or whatever. But
tell me about that after.
It just like was on a net. Like, because we're independent and we edit this ourselves. And
you mean literally canceled?
Like
I thought they were canceled.
No, they weren't canceled. Which
just
is
the
funny.
show is like can't support itself.
Yeah,
or
well, because when you're on a podcast network, I think you need like a certain amount of listeners.
Oh yeah. By the way, we do this for free.
Yeah, and also we do this ourselves.
It's fun. We just
but
film
that
it,
is an
edit it.
advantage. Like like Poog and these other podcasts that like disappear because they don't have enough listeners.
And therefore to take on the burden.
We've never had to deal with that. We just do it for free. So like share this and like how do you support us?
It would be nice if this was our
So essentially I didn't think it was that controversial, and a lot of like people were either offended or had strong opinions. To be honest, I was kind of at the end of it reading the article like, what exactly was the point of that? Okay. But I think what he's trying to say is that like sex, like gay sex, now with PrEP, DoxyPep, now there's like going to be an injectable PrEP where you just have to get an injection twice a year.
Right.
It's all very like big pharma, poppers. Everyone sort of knows about poppers. Like your dad maybe knows about poppers. That gay sex has like become like a commodified like tech like big tech, Instagram. It's all about like, it's not about the actual act of like sex as like a sort of ecstasy or sex as like anti-establishment. It's almost like become the like big tech mainstreamization of sex.
I have not read this article.
That's my take, which I am also like, someone might be like, that's not the take, but like,
I'll read it. I think like that can be interesting. I agree. Like, especially through the 80s and 90s, like sex was for gay men was subversive to even talk about it publicly. And I understand the point that now gay sex is so common in media and whatever, like, and the way that queer people celebrate their sex and show their sex and team up, yes, with pharma and all these companies, whatever, is
there is something about like
mainstream.
Freddie and like prep ads.
It's very like, and in one way people would argue that's really good that it's like so publicly available, it's so in your face, and you don't need to be shamed, because many people who are still alive grew up in a super shamed environment to even think about talking about gay sex. So okay, you take what you can, right?
And it was also saying sluttiness as a uniform. Like,
right,
people now
are
sort
like
of like have a shirt that says like slut.
Yeah,
but it doesn't necessarily mean they're a slut.
Or they're happy to be one and talk about it. Yeah, but I think
it was like, it's a very New York centric article. I think what's happening in New York is like very intense in like the gay scene, and Toronto might be similar, but it was sparking exciting things in my head where I was like, there is like a uniform of a gay man. There is like
I know what you mean, but I also think it's always important to remember that we're going through, some might call a conservative wave lots of gay people are conservative, but just in general in the world. And
like PrEP might go away.
Yeah, I also just mean like our perspective. And I'm not saying that, I know this guy, I've listened to the podcast, he's great. I'm not trying to say he's conservative, but sometimes these ideas leak into our world and then leak out of the queer community and are used as propaganda against the queer community, right? Like, queer people are having way too much sex and they're flaunting their sex in front of us, and it's not even cool anymore, and we shouldn't support that. And I just think sex is sex. Let people do what they want to do, as long as they're being responsible and safe to other people as well. You're not going to stop straight people having sex. You're not going to stop gay people having sex. Yeah. So at the very least,
get your very least get your HPV vaccine.
And yes, these pharma companies profit massively on promoting and pushing these kind of things. But if it makes sex safe, like, you are not getting rid of sex. Yeah. So it's like vaccines. Like, sometimes we talk about how the vaccines have made it seem as though these diseases don't exist. And now there's lots of people who are vaccine hesitant or don't believe in vaccines because they didn't grow up with people dying or kids dying from these diseases.
Or they're just being blatantly lied to by an administration.
100%. That for sure. But many people like are innocent in that they're just like, I'm worried the vaccine's bad for my kid, but they didn't grow up seeing kids literally die from measles and mumps and all these kind of things. So we're seeing resurgencies in that, and I think it could be similar. Like, we're so far removed now from the dangers of sex that people are forgetting that these drugs actually saved so many people's lives.
Well, it does relate back to the HPV vaccine. It's like, that is something that is probably going to be taken less by many people in America now, due to the way that their administration is just lying and completely scaring people about vaccines. Like, it is horrifying, and it is also something where I'm like, we've been doing ASAP Science for what, 12 and a half years? 13 years. Like, we've done every topic. Like, I keep thinking, like, I'm like, oh yeah, we did like 7 videos about vaccines during COVID that now we should just redo. Yeah. Like, there's something like
there is still so much misinformation and fear. And
it's like, you make the video, you do all the research, and you're just like, okay, this is so fucking obvious. Like mRNA vaccines are incredible. Vaccines are incredible. You're like, okay, I did the video. I've made the difference. And then time goes by and you're like, wow, everything's worse. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that video we should just make every month. Yeah. Because that information that we're trying to explain to people, like how they actually work, is so useful.
It takes away a lot of fear.
But we're living in a time where for whatever disgusting reason, people in power in one of the most strong Western
I think we should
countries.
make a video about this.
I know. I was just like, we should just do those videos again. I see it a lot. Like,
you're right. Sometimes I think we're like, we did it. It's like, that's 12 years ago. We should do it. Not that.
Well, no, we did it during COVID.
I don't mean that one. I just mean sometimes an idea is 12 years old, and I'm like, but it's still relevant, and people don't see that version anymore.
And there's so many more science communicators now that like now that I'm quote unquote back to work, I was like, I'm gonna go on TikTok and like see what people are doing, and I'm like, oh, they're just doing our videos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're like, does getting cold make you cold? And they just
make you sick,
it's the same information that we have in our book.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh, that's still so interesting.
Yeah. It's always those are just like the facts and science lessons that are super relatable and also forever questions.
Yeah, and it's just funny because you're right. We are like, we did it. We explained mRNA vaccines, and it's like now America's going to try and get rid of that research in general.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and I think it's interesting too to also be like, I'm so upset I don't have an HPV vaccine. I'm so mad at my doctor for not giving it to me. I'm so excited to get it now. And then realizing there are so many people who are like, I'm not getting a vaccine.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, all this information is making me realize just I'm so sad I didn't get a vaccine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the kids of parents who don't. Imagine growing up and going to school and being like, my parents didn't give me a vaccine. Like, I would be so pissed.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Anyways.
Well, I think that's
another episode where we bring up PrEP.
Woo, 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 and gay sex.
Did we even do an episode on PrEP straight up?
I think we have.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe we can do it again. For
Yeah,
the same
but-
reason that we probably did it 2 years ago, and who knows? We also have such a bad memory that I'm like, did we do that 2 months ago?
Like literally. So yeah, Mitch will sometimes pitch a podcast idea and then I'll be like, Mitch.
Okay,
and I'll like,
you
it'll be like,
too.
it'll be like 3 weeks earlier. I'll be like, we just did that. But also,
I have a memory disorder.
I was gonna say me too, but I don't. Like you really do. It's
do.
shocking to live with you. So we are gonna now once a month try to be bringing back interviews.
Yeah.
That's our goal till the end of the year. And you guys know us. Watch us do one and then never again.
Not interviews of people, but bring people on to talk about interesting subjects.
Which we did throughout COVID.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed. And we're kind of like you
brings
were
a different
saying, like
perspective, yeah.
we're lonely.
Yeah.
And so it's like if we can talk to anyone at any point with our job, it'll make us feel better.
Yeah, if you have like even like creators
People,
or
yes.
science people, or they don't have to be science, they could be comedians, like people you'd love to have on our pod. Obviously, we can bring the science, and it's nice to just have extra voices and opinions. Like this could have been a topic where a queer person who has no science background could happily talk
Yeah.
about it with us,
Or anyone who
but
like
cool, also science
has
people would
HPV,
really,
which is everyone.
We're happy to take suggestions, and we'll be sprinkling those in through the year. Hopefully, we'll see how often we
until
get them done.
December when we go on our other break. Okay, so thank you for listening. Share this again. We do this for free, and also in 2 weeks I will give you my Bad Bunny update, which I know everyone cannot wait for.
Dying,
unless I have a heart attack.
Okay, welcome back to September. Hope you crush it. Talk to you. Okay, I don't know.
Bye.
Yeah.